If you're a Wordle addict, a crossword puzzle fanatic, or just love word games in general, you're going to want to try the new game from the New York Times. It's called Connections. Like Wordle, it is free to anyone who wants to play. Only one round a day is released, and if you wish, they'll give you a graphic to share on social media showing your results. I have to tell you, it can be a little addictive, but tons of fun. And what more could you ask for? Today I'm going to share how to play this new entertaining game, where to find it, and some tips to help you win more. Because, let's face it, who doesn't like to win? Let's start out with what is connections. The New York Times, its parents, defines it as group words that share a common thread. When you start to play, you'll be presented with 16 random words, such as the ones you can see on the screen. Your goal is to find 4 groups, each with the items in it. Each group will have something in common. You only get 4 chances to go wrong. That's right, your goal is to find 4 groups without making 4 mistakes. Perhaps this should be called the game of 4s. Don't worry too much about this next part, but when you see the results, it's nice to know. The responses are coded with yellow being what the New York Times describes as straightforward, followed by green, then blue, and finally purple, which they define as tricky, which I have to tell you is the understatement of the year. You can find the game by either doing a search for New York Times Connections or going to nytimes.com/games/connections. The Times points out that categories will be very specific, so something like 5-letter words, names, or verbs are too broad. They also promise that each puzzle will only have one solution. So they warn, be careful when you get a word that can be in more than one category. I'll share with you that the puzzle on New Year's Eve had many words what I would consider to be New Year's Eve party words. I kept trying to match up the word champagne with other things like countdown and fireworks, etc. But guess what? There was another category called places in France. Yep, that's where champagne belonged. Take a look at the right solution. I thought it was pretty ingenious, even if I didn't light any fireworks with my performance. I have to be honest, I almost never get the hardest or the purple category other than through process of elimination. By managing to solve the first 3 categories, I can nail the last one, which the Times admits is tricky. It can include rhymes, is often based on popular culture, of which I am sometimes woefully ignorant. My favorite was a category that contained the words canine, freight, orphan, and stone. Can you guess what the category is? Pause the video for a moment and let us know what you think it is in the comments below. And I'll give you a hint, it's a combo. Okay, drum roll please, here's the answer. The category is 2 letters plus numbers, so 9, 8, 10, and 1 with 2 letters. Did you get it right? If so, let us know in the comments. Here's another one I could have looked at till the cows came home and not gotten. The words were deer, D-E-A-R, H-A-I-R, hair, horse, H-O-A-R-S-E, and whale, W-A-I-L. If you want to try and guess, pause the tape because I'm about to do the big reveal. These were homophones, i.e. D-E-A-R was D-E-E-R, etc. Feel free to brag if you got this one right in the comments, if you figured it out. Now, let's play a quick game. Feel free to stop the video and see if you can figure out before I reveal the answers. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually find the connections game. So I'm going to do a search, New York Times, and I'm going to put the word connections in if you don't have it saved. Okay, and of course, the first one that comes up is the New York Times, and you can see you'll get a page that looks like this, and I'm going to hit play. And then it gives you a little bit of rules, and voila, here we go. Here are our words. So let's take a look at them and see if we can come up with something. Now let's see, what do we have? Disco, swing, maybe they are a kind rock, that could be a type of music, but for the life of me I can't find anything that would go along with that. So I'm going to put that aside. I may come back to that, but nothing else looks right to me. Now you can, when it comes to types of music, you can stop the screen at any time you want if you want to take a little bit of longer. Okay, so let's keep looking. But you know what? A rock, sway, they may be kinds of movements, so let's start picking off some of them. I can rock back and forth. I could have a rock, but I'm going to do that. Sway back and forth. I can swing back and forth. And what else can I do? Maybe wave. Let's see if that is something. And so I hit submit, Yes, it was. Move back and forth. Okay. So I'm looking at the rest of these and I don't know. So let's shuffle them. We're going to shuffle them, see if that helps. It doesn't really help me that much, but I hit the shuffle button. And let's talk about odor, okay? Sometimes an odor, sometimes when something smells funny, you might say it's funky or it's musky. Is there anything else that might go here? Maybe tang. I'm not 100% sure, but let's put this in. And sure enough, here it is. Yes, it does. Okay, so let's move on. Now it's getting a little bit harder. Um, hmm. Well, let's see. What could we do? Things that we could. What about lock? If we can pick a lock. We can pick a fight. I guess if we had an afro, what could we do? What about lock? Pick a lock. We can pick a fight. I guess if we had an afro, we could use a pick. And is there anything else that might go with it? Let's try bone. And sure enough, we had it right. Okay, so obviously foul, crystal, disco, and gutter. I'm going to be honest, I don't see any relationship, but obviously it's what left, so let's submit it and let's see what they say. Oh, okay, and it's a ball. Okay, and so you can see here you got, and so you can see here you share your result. You can hit share your results, and then you can share that on social media, Twitter, Facebook, etc., if you so desire. But let's go back, and you can see the purple category. Yeah, foul ball, gutter ball, disco ball, crystal. They make sense. Okay, alrighty. So that's one game. Hopefully, you can do the same thing and play tomorrow. Before we get to some tips that might help you win the game a little easier, let me share with you that we have over 500 videos on this channel designed to help those who work and manage, are interested in, or have responsibility for the accounts payable and or payment function. We have some insights on job interviews and landing your dream job. Okay, now to your tips to help you win more. Connection tips number 1. Look at the words, and sometimes a group will just jump out at you, or at least 3 words will, and you can hunt for the 4th. Almost always, this will be one of the easier connections. This will be one of the easier categories. Sorry about that. Connections tips number 2. Don't fall down the one mistake rabbit hole. You only get 4 chances. Too often, at least for me, I pick a group and get that one away message, and I'm sure I can get it on the next try, and then the next one. You get where I'm going, and then before you know it, I've wasted all my guesses going down the wrong path. Connection tips number 3. Remember, most words have more than one meaning. For example, train. It can be a form of transportation, but it can also mean you're preparing for something or learning something. Think of training for the marathon. So be careful. Connection tips number 4. Study the results so you can learn how the editors think and possibly get more of those purple categories in the future. Connection tips number 5. Likewise, it is quite possible for one word to legitimately belong in more than one category. On a recent game, Bravo, B-R-A-V-O, was one of the 16 words provided. One of the categories was clearly cable TV stations. Sadly, there were 5 possibilities, and it never occurred to me that Bravo wasn't one of the ones. It actually belonged in another group. This means that not only do you have to look for the groupings individually, smart players will also look at the game as a whole. That's what we do at AP Now. We look at everything that impacts those who work and manage or have responsibility for the accounts payable or payment function. This includes job search and career information. Did you know that almost 80% of all people, including Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, and Barbara Corcoran, suffer from imposter syndrome? Clearly, these individuals shouldn't, and neither should you. That's why we recently did a talk on crushing imposter syndrome, which you can watch right now using the link on your screen and is in the description. Happy connections.